a fair point. I get it. Maybe the bench is nowhere near as strong today. The options aren't there. Fine. But, I think you pulled off the wrong personnel, quite frank, and I don't think you were brave enough in bringing on Will Lancashire and Jed Spence either, though.
Mm. Um, But yeah, it might be something more for the Twitter reacts. Really appreciate the generous support tonight, Dark Sun G. And he also says, why are we tired when it's Bond as the referee, Palace, and then today? Yeah, we have played awful when it's been Bond as the referee of late, Dark Sun G. We have been playing pretty awful. I don't know, man. He what I don't like about Bond, though, is that he does seem to be very much behind the game. Like, it seems like his reactions to things are late. And then also as well, like there was one or two occasions where he was being influenced just by a player, lifting his arm or, suggesting that it should be a different call. And then he ended up succumbing to it and ending up giving in. And that's another thing I don't like as a referee. You want a guy that stands by his decision and is also quick to it as well. And he seems like he doesn't even look like he passed the fitness.
Again, he sort of came on after they scored. Could you have got Kulusevski on before that to have that out ball and drag you up the pitch and relieve that pressure a little bit more? It's them sort of fine margins, maybe making the decisions a little bit quicker. Porro was in trouble on all sorts down that right-hand side. Yeah, okay, granted, take him off, bring on Jed Spence. There are things we could have tried today, and I think that's the biggest thing. The substitutions late in the game, bringing on Gray and Bergvall when you're trying to chase a game. Bergvall hasn't really contributed much in terms of going forward in Europe. You played Archie Gray as a fullback, so I don't quite understand the substitutions or the logic behind them today. Like Jed Spence sitting on the bench, Will Lancashire sitting on the bench when you clearly need another target man in the box. It's just, look, maybe I'm wrong, but if I'm a manager, that's what I would do.
Frankly, Tottenham also saying as well, just really appreciate the support. And he also put in another comment saying, I'm sick of hearing players are tired, get in a bubble bath and have a soak. I think that's kind of Dave's logic sometimes when it comes to things as well. Like that comment from him. Skunkwork saying biggest difference in Spurs' stats is the number of losses. He's played everyone who needed to win this weekend, and we drew. Told my granddad this was going to happen on Friday. Blame the board for an average transfer policy, says DJ AK. Good to see you with us, DJ AK. Hopefully everything's all right with you, my friend. Despite the result. Q7, or sorry, this is from Dark Sudree saying if we had Cootie, Van de Ven, set piece goals, would not have happened, or their speed with their pass skills would have been useful today, even with Bentancur. Dave Kulu timing was okay, but the ball didn't go out of play until the goal. Maybe the last part.
No, I know what you're saying, but theoretically, most of us were screaming saying he should have been brought on at half time, or even before that. I think it was 63rd minute. We were screaming from it for about 55 minutes. He could have made it sooner to be a bit more proactive. But look, I take on board what you're saying. Fair enough. Maybe he did want to get it on sooner, and the ball didn't go out play at that time. But then, should he have done it more sooner than that? To me, that's my point. But I understand what you're saying. And what was the rest of it, Jacko?
Yeah, it's all very micro detail stuff at the end of the day. And then he says, if we had Romero and Van de Ven, set pieces goals would have happened, or their speed with their passes would have been useful today, even with Bentancur. I mean, Bentancur, I think, is such a miss in some of these games because Bissouma, for me, is pretty good defensively. I don't think you're missing too much defensively when you have Bissouma, but in possession, it's just night and day between Bentancur and Bissouma for me, Dark Sun G. Bentancur is so much tidier, makes good decisions. When under pressure as well, he finds a way out of it, finds a good pass to get moves started. I just think they're just completely different, really, in terms of quality and possession for me. But Basuma, I think, is all right defensively. It's just, just
Mm.
very different stories when it comes to the other department. Um, Romero and Van de Ven, I mean, yes, we were missing them, but to be honest, Darks and G, I have to give praise to Radu Dragic and to Ben Davies because they were some of our better players on the day.
They were brilliant today. They were absolutely brilliant defensively. And you know what? In possession, they were decent actually as well
Yeah,
today.
like it's maybe we could do a little bit
Um,
better, but like they did perform to the best of their abilities. You know what I mean?
what I will say, it was the one sloppy pass Ben Davies gave
True.
away that actually led to their goal. But I'm not going to hammer him for it because 99% of the game he was brilliant today. What I will say, maybe this difference that Romero and Van der Ven do give us, and why I think maybe we look maybe a bit better in possession at times, is because Romero has that ability to play runners in behind. He's playing Madison in behind and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it's true.
He has the ability to be able to get on the ball, dribble it out, take it forward. You look at Van de Ven, he has the ability to be able to get on that ball, maraud down the left-hand side, and make something happen. You know, even in terms of set pieces into the box, to get their head on things, to get shots off and stuff. So, you know, you are talking about complete different levels in terms of in possession. I do think that is a fair point. But we didn't lose the game because of that today. You know, we lost the game because we were just shit.
Really appreciate it, Darks G. Very generous, man. Q7 member for 3 months as a fan show member. Thank you, Q7, for the support. Hello, lads. We are a mediocre squad with a manager that struggles to adapt to situations. He does it 3 games, and fans act like he's a tactical genius. I mean, it's funny. People are still, it's very 50-50 still with Ange. Like, and that's the nature of, I guess, the back and forth between the losing, the winning, you know, draws, losses, good performances, bad performances. I'm still very much Ange in. I believe that the guy will eventually, you know, deliver for us. And I think he also is, like plenty of people have suggested, I do think he is learning. I don't think he's like the most complete product of a manager yet in the Premier League. I think he still has plenty more experiences to go through, plenty more learning, you know, lessons or learning moments. But I do believe in what he is bringing here. And it looks like it takes time, you know, like we're seeing so many other managers, like it takes time, you know, to actually start developing a winning culture and a winning sort of ethos around the team. And I think he's still trying to work that out right now. And he doesn't have a squad, I think, that can instantly deliver for him as well, and also consistently deliver. We are going to ebb and flow. We are going to, you know, have roller coaster moments as a team, and just going to have to best navigate that, I guess.
And look, do you know what? I'm not even going to, you know, this isn't even in defense of Ange. Regardless whether Ange is here moving forward or just forget Ange is our manager at this moment in time, even, you know, what I would say is there does have to be somewhere along the line a mindset change from fans. Because what we do is we bring in managers and the board are bringing them in for their style and their philosophy. They don't then give them the right components that other clubs where they've been at previous have done to make it work. We don't give them all the right components. We make their job difficult to a degree. And then all of a sudden, they're the ones that carry the can. Everyone's looking at the manager and going, well, he needs to change. He needs to do this. He needs to do that. And by the time they leave here, we make them look absolutely clueless, outdated, having a clue about football. And reality is to go on to the next club and then to go on and achieve things, you know. So I think at some point there has to become a fresh thinking from the fans where it's like, this is the manager. This is what the board have hired him to do. His style, his philosophy. Embrace it. So if the board don't give him all the pieces of the puzzle, you got to put the pressure on the board to deliver what they need. For instance, when Liverpool had Jurgen Klopp, they were in a period where they were high-scoring games, 3-2s, 4-3s all over the place, conceding late goals, etc., sloppy goals. They went out and bought a centre-back and a goalkeeper in a January transfer window, and they never looked back. You know, but all the fans at the time, there's no conversations around sack Klopp, even in the media from other people that didn't even support Liverpool. It was all about get Klopp what he needs. But when it comes to Tottenham, it's all about the manager. Look, I understand, you know, people go, well, a manager needs to adapt and blah, blah, blah. But we're not hiring managers that do that. You know, there's managers out there on the market that do that, like David Moyes, etc. Managers, you know, Thomas Frank and whatever, they will adapt. But we don't bring them managers in. We bring managers that have an ego because what they've done where they've been before in years, they've all won. So they're never going to adapt that Tottenham Hotspur. And that's, if we're bringing in them sort of managers, that's then where we need to go and say to the board, this is what they need, and change the conversations, because we can't keep doing this around every single manager. He needs to adapt, he needs to adapt, he needs to adapt, he needs to do this, he needs to do that. I'm bored of it. Look, people can have their criticisms of Ange, and some of them are absolutely valid. But we've done it for every manager now since Pochettino. At some point, the conversations around the manager have to change too. What can we do to help them, to give them what they need, to implement what they've done at other clubs at Tottenham Hotspur? Because that's where the frustration comes in. We get excited because we see the CV and what they've done at every other club. But then when they come here, there's so much change to happen at Tottenham Hotspur. It's so hard. We also make their job easier. And then all of a sudden, it's they're useless, they're this. And the reality is they're just not.
Really a lot of good comments in here, everybody. PH family saying we are getting rinsed down the right all game. Yeah, they were overloading that side. Make a system change. Don't just stand there with your hands in your pockets. Nomad saying like any other Premier League team has to go through. John Fernandez saying Kulu was waiting to come on, but yes, we should have done so earlier. Steve Combo, you need to create more chances. You keep both Kulu and Madison on, and just game management influence more often than not has been lacking. He's play saying we took our creative spark after a red. We took off our creative spark after a red and an equalizer. I'm no professional manager, but I at least have some common football knowledge. Hopefully I learned something after all my years of playing. I'm in a similar boat he's playing, and I don't know. I question the substitutions for Ange today as much as I do really trust Ange. I do question those today, and that's how it is. You're not going to just blindly support every single moment that Ange is going to have. You are going to have moments where you do sort of question maybe what was going through his head, and plenty of times he's gotten it right, and this time I think he has gotten it wrong. Dark Sun G says Lukic was on a yellow and his tackle on Son was a yellow card he played on and didn't book him afterwards. Then he went off for Kearney, goal scorer, and a red card. So yeah, I guess 2 red cards on the day. For me, what was really frustrating, Dark Sun G, I know this is kind of separate to what you said there, but what was frustrating on the day was to see Fulham have 2 fit strikers to be able to take on and off. Like Raul Jimenez was causing us problems in that game, was a good outlet for them, good hold-up play, causing danger, and then they were able to take him off for another good striker, in my opinion, in Rodrigo Muniz. And I just found that really frustrating, to be honest, and maybe is an indication of where we are really threadbare. We have 2 hold-up play type strikers who do like to press off of the ball, like Solanke, like Richarlison, and to not have either of them today really did hurt us. And I guess that also comes back to what you were saying earlier, when once you saw Son a striker, that you knew that this was going to be a difficult game. But yeah, with Lukic, to be honest, I'm never as glued in as you are, Dark Sun G, all the time, because sometimes I have to manage so many different things at once, trying to do these watch-alongs, so I'm not able to pick up on every micro detail the whole game.
That's why it's nice, actually, when these comments come in, lad, sometimes,
Yeah, you guys do a better job of seeing things and picking up on things than necessarily I do. But yeah, I guess Lukic was lucky to stay on the pitch. Sorry, Dark Sunji, I must have missed, some of those tactical fouls. And I did not like the referee. And
he got away with a lot against us last year, actually, I remember as well, because him and Paulini really pissed me off. He got away with a lot last year as well.
And then Jerome, member for 27 months as a fan show member, absolute legend, Jerome, well over 2 years at this point, getting Jerome close to halfway through 3 years. And he's saying injuries are not an excuse. We can see it with any other team like City and Arsenal. Players injured, quality drops. We have 8 out, for crying out loud. I mean, yeah, Jerome, I don't think I give more leniency and I give a bit more time. And I also don't go into every game confident of a win. When you have as many injuries as we do, I know I do kind of take myself back a bit and realize, okay, this will be tough for us to get over the line here. I'm not fully confident of a win, but I will say it's more a reflection of just the lack of squad planning, or just the lack of real kind of depth and competition in the ranks. Because once you lose Vicario, you realize, okay, the goalkeeper situation is a little sketchy. Don't get me wrong, Fraser Forster has played well, but I still think, we're kind of riding our luck a little bit with that situation. You also look at the left back, full back situation. We don't really have anybody that Ange seems that confident in. He plays Archie Gray there, but is he really a fullback? Jet Spence, he just doesn't simply want to play. So we're basically pushing, the likes of Destiny as well as Pedro Porro too much. Now we're having injuries up front. We have no real striker that we can play for these games that's actually had experience. And then the wingers, we're out of them. We have no Wilson Odebear, and we don't have any other options, it looks like, other than just Timo, Sonny, and Brennan Johnson, who are all very similar to each other. So for me, it's injuries, but it's also just lack of squad management, lack of squad preparation for this season.
And look, this is where I think the balance comes in as well, Jerome. Fair play to you, man, is look, what manager doesn't suffer when there's an injury crisis? Jurgen Klopp suffered last year. Pep Guardiola this year, prime example, despite having really good squads available to them. You look at most managers when they're going through an injury crisis, they suffer. 100%, fully agree with you. But I still maintain this is where he needs to maybe be a little bit more craftier in terms of tinkering. Okay, when you've got most of your players fit and available, don't waver. You got to get them to play the way you want to play at the end of the day. But when you do have the injury crisis, maybe that's where today he could have maybe been a little bit smarter in terms of just trying to tweak one or two little things in game just to try and get us a foothold in the game for 5 minutes and get it going the other way. But you're absolutely spot on. What manager doesn't suffer when there's an injury crisis? And I don't, so you're absolutely spot on in that regard. And like with the injury crisis, I don't think, today's game really should have changed anyone's opinion. If you're Ange out, you're still going to be Ange out. And I think if you're Ange in, you're still probably going to be Ange in.
Yeah.
But, whatever you are, you got to factor in, the injury crisis. It is a thing to go through. Look at Pep Guardiola right now, for example.
No, absolutely. I completely agree.
And it makes the manager's job hard because you might have a plan that you go, oh, that'll work. And then all of a sudden it doesn't work. And it's hard to fix it and stuff like that. It does give you a lot of headaches. It's trial and error.
Yeah, and you have to get it right when you only have so many players available. Jerome saying, I wonder if it is an attitude issue with Spence. He keeps getting left out of the squad too much. It's so back and forth with me, Jerome, because at one point I did think there might have been some sort of attitude issue there. But then you see like what he's done to try to, stay in the team, to try to get his opportunity back with Spurs. I think he could have well and pushed for a move, but he decided to stick around, and he's worked really hard from what we can tell, off of the pitch, in the training ground. He then comes on, when he's given it his opportunity by Ange, in that Coventry City game. He doesn't sulk. He doesn't just sort of, jog around. He actually really pushes to try to get his opportunity. It's hard to really fault Spence for me, to be honest. I understand the concern. Like, if he isn't being played like it was with Antonio Conte, like it was with others, maybe there is something attitude-wise there. But for me, there's not a lot of evidence to suggest one way or the other. I don't know what it is. It just seems like he's just not trusted.
Yeah, with Jed Spence,
again, another opportunity for Ange to use Spence, just doesn't do it.
Yeah, it's hard to know, Jack, because look, he's also been injured as well, but no one speaks about it because he's never plays anyway. But
that's
he's also been in. Yeah, he's also been injured as well. But like, if he's on the bench, you assume, right, he's able for you to be able to use him. Like we were told, Maddison was carrying a knock Thursday night. We still brought him off the bench. I'm not quite sure what it is between Postecoglou and Jed Spence, to be quite frank. But, you gave him the opportunity in the Coventry game. And this is me if I'm a manager. Regardless whether, I have my preconceived opinions of a player, I gave him his opportunity. He performed for me. He sort of alleviated a lot of pressure, helped my team go on a run, sparked us into life to a certain degree. And then to not use him in certain games. Like, look, Europa League, I think, people have to understand he's not registered. You can't play him. But if you're going to keep playing Pedro Porro, you have to pick and choose what league games. Then you can leave Porro out to give him some rest and play Jed Spence. You have to lean on him at some point. And if you're not going to lean on him now in an injury crisis, then why keep him around here then? Why hold the young lad back? Why not let him move?
Yeah. I think he's done everything. And he looked really good in preseason as well, Jerome, right? He looked really good in preseason. So I do
he was brilliant.
For the guy. I feel for the guy. Artist T saying, if Brennan didn't get that goal, you wouldn't have even known he was playing. I'm fully expecting us to have a massive drop-off this month. See, I think Dave and I, like with Brennan Johnson, like we were very critical of him before for kind of the things that we saw today, because he just doesn't create enough for others. He's a guy that feeds really well off of chances that are created for him. He puts himself in good areas to score. He knows how to sniff out a goal. He has a decent finish on him. It's just that when it comes to the other elements of being a forward and being a winger, he just doesn't really have it. He doesn't have a good cross. He's not really the sharpest on the ball all the time. He doesn't have maybe the best first touch, doesn't really have that dynamism to take it past his man on a consistent basis, where every time he receives the ball, he's already running at his fullback to get going. It feels like it takes him a while to get to that point. Sometimes I do question, whether like sometimes he looks really pacey, other times he doesn't look that pacey. Brennan Johnson, for me, it's just hard to tell with the guy. But yeah, I would agree. Like this was a game, Dave, where if he didn't score, you would probably be giving him a 4 out of 10, a 5 out of 10. But the fact that he does score, then it's like a a little bit of a higher rating. But that's the thing with Johnson. And recently, his past few games have been that way, where he's not really done a whole lot other than be at the right place at the right time with an excellent finish.
He's been like that all season. Yes, he's gone on a good scoring streak. He's our top scorer. Maybe people look at it and go, you're being harsh. He's our top goal scorer. 10 goals this season. But you got to contribute more than
Over the
just
course of
one
90
kick of a
minutes.
ball. That's all it is one kick of a ball. He does the right movement, and then it's one kick of the ball. But what does he do when the ball's at his feet the rest of the time? Absolutely nothing. And I said this in my pre-match build-up. When you're playing teams that are well organised and structured, you can't play Brennan Johnson. You've got to go with Kulu out there because he has the ability to be able to deliver that ball into the box. Brennan Johnson just does not. So for me, I just don't understand why we keep playing him against these low block teams. He doesn't have the answer. And, people kept on going, Dave, you're Harrison Johnson, but I've maintained all along he can't cross a ball, he can't beat his man, he offers you absolutely nothing bar that run at the back post. And I'm not being funny, but that's easy to defend against then because all you got to do is go out, double up, triple up on Sonny, block that ball coming in from that side because that's the only danger, man. Yeah. And then, hey, presto, you don't score. And that's what low block teams are doing. They're getting out, they're leaving, forget about Johnson, forget about anybody else. Get out there to someone the ball's out wide, try and double up, triple up, and then we'll leave us to defend the rest. It's nowhere near good enough from Brennan Johnson. It's a one-trick pony. At some point, you got to bring more to the party, Jack. It's not good enough.
And I'd agree with the artist too, though. That's how I felt before. But I understand I'm biased towards Brennan Johnson, but I do feel that way. I think he's an excellent goal scorer for us, but he doesn't contribute in other ways, and he does need to. Dark Sun G, Cootie, and VDV also had a screamer in them versus the low blocks. Was Van de Ven's that left-footed strike? Was that against Fulham? That was a terrific goal.
That was against Fulham. Romero done one against Burnley before. There's been a few.
Maybe he's also scored. Maybe Darkson G suggesting that one of them has scored from a set piece before against Fulham as well. Don't get me wrong, Darkson G. Like, it'd be great to have him. I think Dave made a very good point about in possession. Like, Davies and Radu were actually okay today in possession, but you do know that
it's surface
Romero and Van de Ven are just that much better. Yeah. Like, you get even more from the movement. Also, would we have given it away nearly as much if they were in the team? They would have picked out maybe a pass that Radu Dragic or maybe Ben Davies just wouldn't, and just they have that extra time, that extra second on the ball that maybe they wouldn't either. But again, for the most part, I don't want to say like, yes, we are missing them, but I have to still show praise to Radu and Ben Davies because I've been critical of Radu, and with Ben Davies, we have been critical for a long time. But this season, he's really been stepping up for us. Frankly, Tottenham saying if Ange doesn't win in the Europa League, that is the chop for me. I think earlier he was saying he's still Ange in. Frankly, Tottenham, he was saying he might be, but he's saying if Ange doesn't win the Europa League, then it's the chop. Do you feel like he has to win a trophy this year, Dave? I'm not sure if. I hope we have a good cup run. That's what I'm kind of clinging on to, that we at least push really far into one of them, like semifinals, maybe a final. But do you think for some people he kind of has to win something this year?
Look, ideally we want the guy to win something, right? That's why we employed Jose Mourinho. That's why we brought Conte here. That's why we brought Ange Postecoglou here, because their history of winning. That's the expectation set on them when you appoint these guys, because what they've done everywhere else. What I would say is if we end up going deep in the Europa League, quarters, semi-final, final, deep in the Carabao Cup, semi-final, final, and make a good run at the FA Cup and improve on last year's league position and get Champions League football, I don't think anybody would be in a quick rush to sack him come the end of the season. I think people will say, good season, we've made progress from where we were at the, last season. We've kicked on, and let's try and build more onto it. I think you just got to wait till it comes to that point and see what happens. Right now, where we're at, I mean, you look at it, we're 7th. I think we're 3 points outside top 4. You've got Man United in a cup quarterfinal. You're 9th in a 40-team league in Europe. Still have a chance to getting outside of the top 8. By no means is it anywhere near time to press the panic alarm, push the sack button, and get this guy out of here. Nowhere near it. Like next week we could win it. We could win Bournemouth Thursday night, and all of a sudden the narratives change. You push on. It's just one of them seasons where it's really frustrating. It's a stop-start sort of season. But we have been the beneficiaries of other teams being in the same sort of nature as us. Once teams start finding their stride, that's where I think it'll become a point where you go, right, we have to look at it. But until then, we still have the opportunity to find our stride, and let's see if we can do that. It's not nowhere near time to push the panic alarms at all.
Cozy saying, Dave and Jack, we got a point with a really painful to watch performance. The fact is we are still only 3 points from top 4 and still in all the cups. I think Dave and I feel very similarly to you there, Cozy. At the end of the day, I think we are happy that we did get a point out of it. We're lucky we got a point out of it. I think there would be far more doom and gloom if we didn't get something out of it. At least we did. We hung on, luckily. And at the end of the day, we just have to see if we can get some sort of points from these tough games this month. We're very threadbare when it comes to the team, and I guess we're just hopeful that Spurs can ride the luck a little bit and get some good performances and some good results. But this was a tough one, and I think at the end of the day we'll take the point.
I don't take it. Look, I'm frustrated. I'm not taking a point. I'm gutted. I want the win, Jack. Here, the way I see it, right, is just quickly, Jack. Sorry for cutting you off.
No, you're fine. I didn't know what to say anymore.
Is like, when you beat the big teams, you're not gaining anything. All you're doing is catching up for the drop points that against teams like this, right?
Yeah.
So today is really frustrating. It's a kick in the bollocks. You need to be beating teams like this. And then when you beat the big teams, that's where at the end of the season your awards comes, because you made up points you weren't expecting. But all we're doing against the big teams is making up for the points we're dropping against the smaller teams. That has to be sorted out. It is largely frustrating. But is it time to pull the trigger or panic? No, it's not. Despite how frustrating it is, I don't expect anybody to walk away here happy, clapping, delighted. I expect people to walk away frustrated, question absolutely everything, of course. But when clearer heads prevail, are we anywhere near that point yet? No.
Everybody, we're just going to take a bit of time to give a plug to the Big Up platform. We're going to be doing a Tottenham hangover probably tomorrow, hopefully. It's going to be busy weeks ahead. And we do these things over there called the Tottenham Hangover. We do a tactical breakdown and do player ratings of our recent Premier League matches. You can see some of the ones that are on screen for you there. We also do neutral watch-alongs over on that platform as well. And for those, you can kind of just hang out with us, pop in, treat it like sort of a friend or a friendly neighbor or the pub or anything like that. Just have a chat with us, talk about life, maybe take your mind off of Spurs. I think that's what we have to do, plenty of the time. And you can do that with Dave or I. So please join us over for those Big Up streams. You can see it in the description. It's pinned in the description below for all of our videos. You also look out, on Twitter or on the community section. You'll see plenty of posts with the link for that. So when you see these links to the Big Up platform, please follow them over. You do Dave and I also a massive service by doing that. You help us out a ton by going over to that platform and showing us some support there. And you'll be seeing, in particular, a Tottenham hangover tomorrow, tactical breakdown. Take a look at some screenshots, what went wrong, what we could have done better, and also doing some player ratings as well. And really appreciate all the support today in general, though. I mean, I know it's not the result that we wanted, but there was a lot of support today, and just want to say it's going to be a tough month. And thank you guys for picking us as your watch-along destination for what is going to be a lot of fixtures, thick and fast. We're going to have to go through the ringer here and go through a lot of roller coasters. So hopefully we can try our best to enjoy it, but also ride through it all together. So thank you so much, guys, for today.
Just
final
quickly,
words,
big
Dave?
up. Yeah, just quickly, just on to Paddy Harnett. First of all, follow us over there tomorrow to Big Up for the sort of tactical breakdown or whatever day we're doing it. Get over there, follow us over, player ratings and, all that sort of jazz. Relive the nightmare. But Paddy Harnett says, fans need to stop with this. We are only 3 points from top 4. I could not give a shit about top 4. The performances have been utter shit and way too inconsistent. And look, being brutally honest, Paddy, look, I understand the frustration, but many fans said they didn't give a shit about the league this season.
Menos de um cafezinho por dia. É isso que você precisa para investir na sua carreira em tecnologia e programação. É isso mesmo, começou a Black Friday da Alura e só durante essa semana você pode garantir até 50% de desconto para estudar na maior escola online de tecnologia do país. Com uma única matrícula, você terá acesso a todos os cursos em diferentes áreas. Essa é uma oportunidade única e não vai se repetir tão cedo. Aproveite!
Ah, se tivesse um editor de vídeos muito fácil de usar, com vários recursos criativos ali na palma da minha mão. Opa, peraí, isso existe. E é claro, eu tô falando do Movave Video Editor. Intros, filtros, sobreposições, adesivos, transições, tudo isso e muito mais que eu posso adicionar nos meus vídeos com apenas um clique. Eu poderia adicionar até um novo fundo no meu vídeo, um novo background usando inteligência artificial, mesmo sem ter uma tela verde. Bem legal, né? Eu ainda posso adicionar um título legal no meu vídeo e pedir à IA para anexar aquilo a algum objeto do meu vídeo e acompanhar o movimento. E muito mais. Não espere mais, obtenha o novo
cams after each and every game, and David and I would be happy to upload those for you. But I think we'll leave you there, everybody. It's going to be a tough month.
It's been a long day.
A huge month. So strap in, everybody. Get ready. Get ready for Spurs to throw your emotions every single direction. And we'll see you for the next one, everybody. And Twitter React should be out tomorrow for you guys, hopefully. And fan show as well. But yeah, we'll see you very, very soon. Come on, you Spurs. Big Ange, we still trust. And
just before you...
Yeah, sorry, Dave.
Yeah,
I don't know what else to say.
No, you're right. I want to go and I want to try and forget about this too. But Paddy, look, I know you're not having a go, lad, and I'm not having a go at you. You know the way us Irish are, we're passionate when we speak, my man. But, like, I'm just sick of, we've got to fire this manager, that manager, and that. I think, the conversations needs to be around how do we help them progress at this football club, if you know what I mean. And which, in fact, puts all the spotlight on the people above. That's all I'm saying. But look, guys, I can't take this result any longer. I can't bear the brunt of it. I'm going off to enjoy my evening. Have a good one yourselves, lads and ladies.
We'll see you all very soon, everybody. Appreciate all the support, and we'll see you next time.
Tempo vai acabar o Liverpool em algum momento colocando a bola na casinha.
Szoboszlai se manda essa bola pelo lado esquerdo mais uma vez. O Liverpool desce com perigo. Gakpo voltou de novo com o Szoboszlai. Abertura pelo lado esquerdo. Robertson pode pintar cruzamento. Passagem é boa por dentro. Gakpo invadiu a grande área. Mais um corte para dentro. Pode sair o segundo do Liverpool. Ortega por baixo. Chega fazendo o corte. O Walker ali ficou meio que na proteção, mas não tirou a bola. E aí o Gakpo veio por trás, conseguiu dar um totozinho, quase que faz o segundo do Liverpool. Sobra de bola lá atrás com os Reds, vai trabalhando no círculo central. Se apresenta para o jogo, Joe Gomes, passe errado por ali no meio do caminho do McAllister. Recuperação por aí do Akanji. Passe de letra bonito no Phil Foden, Gundogan acelera por baixo, por trás Gravenberch. E aí vai pintar cartãozinho amarelo para ele, né? Aí é aquela falta que tem que ser feita mesmo, né? É impressionante, o Liverpool vai amassando. O City não teve nenhum chute, né?
Falta tática, né? Falta bem tática do Gravenberch. Tomou o cartão amarelo com razão, né? O cartão amarelo saiu. E o Gravenberch é... Aliás, isso também é uma tática do próprio Liverpool, né? Quando o Manchester City consegue furar o bloqueio de meio de campo, faz a falta. É melhor fazer a falta para que o time não fique exposto, né? A frente da área não fique exposta.
Giovanni, aqui chamou atenção, né? 8 finalizações do Liverpool e nenhuma do Manchester City, né?
Mesmo porque o Manchester City, nesse